failure to address property or estate tax issues. This really could be two separate mistakes because estate tax issues are separate from property tax. But I just want us to think about tax. If you own even just your home in California, you need to be aware of the impact of Prop 19. This means that if you've owned your home for a while already, your children will almost certainly face a massive increase in property taxes when you pass away, unless you plan. So Prop 19 basically undid multi-generational Prop 13 protection. So Prop 58 used to allow kids to benefit from their parents' low property taxes, at least for the primary residence, but also for some additional properties. That's gone. There are limited protections for the primary residence, and there are no property tax protections for rental property, or if you have a vacation place, if you're fortunate enough to have multiple properties in California. Everything outside of your primary residence is totally exposed. Now, estate taxes. If you own a house in the Bay Area, your house alone could mean that you might face estate tax exposure in the future. The exemption, the amount you can pass tax-free, is very high right now, but it's going to drop on January 1st, 2026, and we don't know what will happen after that, or it could even change before that. So we have to be aware of these issues because it's a punishing tax. It's 40% of any dollar over the exemption limit. It can be hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars of your hard-earned assets lost to the federal government without planning. Prop 19 is a big deal. It's now law. As of February 16th, 2021, if your child lives in your home after you pass away, only $1 million in fair market value is protected from a reassessment. If your house is worth more than that, there could be a massive reassessment outside of this relatively small protection. We're talking in Bay Area terms or coastal California, Southern California, any higher value part of California. $1 million in fair market value is not that much. And if you have other assets, if you have a rental property, if you have a vacation property, no protections. When you pass away, property taxes will be fully reassessed at fair market value. And that means property taxes go up by 200%, 500%. For some of our clients, we're talking about 1,500% increases, literally going up from $2,000 a year to $40,000 a year in some cases. So let's imagine Tom, Jill, and Andre. Each of them owns a $3 million residence with an assessed value. This is what the Prop 13 assessed value they pay taxes on of $300,000 because they've owned these properties for a very long time. Now, $3 million, I know it's a big number, but again, in parts of California, that's an average house. If you're fortunate enough to have owned your house for a long time, whatever it's worth, I would bet that the fair market value, the value you can get if you sold it, is a lot higher than the assessed value that's used to calculate your property taxes. So Tom, Jill, and Andre, each of them passes away and leaves their house to their child. When Tom passes away, his daughter inherits the house and she makes it a rental property. Her property taxes go from $3,000 a year to over $30,000 per year. That's insane. Jill, same thing. She has a house, or same value. When she passes away, her daughter inherits it, but her daughter decides to live in it. And I think there's some misconceptions about the new law. They think, oh, if my kid lives in my house, they're good, they're protected. Wrong. Only a limited amount. There's only a limited amount of protection. In this case, property taxes go from $3,000 a year to over $20,000 a year. And this is in perpetuity. This is forever. Andre, on the other hand, same situation. He leaves the property for the benefit of his daughter, but when he passes away, property taxes stay at only $3,000 per year, saving tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands over time, and maybe even millions. What's the difference? Well, Tom and Jill don't like talking to advisors. They didn't do any planning. So when Tom passed away and his daughter didn't live in the house, well, no protections anymore. Prop 19 only provides limited protection if your child lives in the house within a year of you passing away. So if your child just wants to keep your house as a rental, full reassessment of property taxes from in this case, $3,000 a year to well over $30,000 per year. Jill, well, her daughter lived in the house. So you think, oh, well, she's protected a little bit. Only $1 million of fair market value beyond the assessed value is protected in this case. So the assessed value is $300,000. Jill's daughter's living there. So $300,000 is the assessed value. Add $1 million to that, $1.3 million. That's all protected from a reassessment. But hey, the house is worth over $3 million. That leaves a huge portion of the house exposed to a reassessment. So even though her daughter's living there, property taxes go up to over $20,000 per year. Andre, on the other hand, took steps. He worked with us. We've developed an incredible approach to preventing property tax reassessments. My point is to show you why it's so important to be aware that tools exist. So let's look at this situation. Let's say a home is worth $3.3 million now. Again, it's very possible in many parts of California, but the assessed value is $300,000. Let's assume a family that doesn't do any planning versus a family that's able to protect low property taxes. And the difference in just real dollars, if their kids hold on to the house over time, in 1 year, that's a $33,000 difference in property taxes. And remember, property taxes go up 2% a year. Prop 13 allows 2% a year increases. So once it's reassessed, it will still go up from there. So in 10 years, that's $360,000 in additional taxes. In 30 years, we are talking about a $1.34 million difference in property taxes paid for just the family home, for a family that did planning versus a family that didn't. The stakes are extraordinarily high. And a lot of people think, well, my kids might just sell the house and be able to buy other property. And they can sell a house when you pass away, but you're kind of tying their hands. They may have to sell if you don't do this planning. And let's say they sell and they buy another property with it that's less expensive. Well, that new property is going to have property taxes at the purchase price that they make. So they sell a $3 million house, no protections. Let's say they put $1.5 million into a less expensive house. Well, property taxes for that new place are going to be set at the purchase price. So you basically have one chance to lock in low property taxes over the long term. Estate taxes, this is also something we have to be aware of. But we literally wrote a book about how to deal with estate taxes. The current estate tax exemption, the amount that you can pass tax-free, is $12.06 million per person. That's $24 million per couple. That's a big number. And there's a 40% tax rate on any bequest or gift beyond this. So it's a punishing tax. But really importantly, on January 1st, 2026, the exemption is set to drop in half to about $6 million per person. Now it's indexed to inflation, so it may be a little bit higher. That means $6 million per person and $12 million per couple. Now you still might be thinking, well, those are huge numbers. But keep in mind, the estate tax exemption is going to drop right as hopefully the value of your assets are going to continue to grow. Most parts of California, real estate doubles in value every 8 to 10 to 12 years. So if you just own a home, if you have investments, they will significantly go up over time, and you need to just be aware of this. And, again, we hear people very logically complain, hey, the rich seem to avoid taxes. Well, that's because they plan. And again, I want to just emphasize, you do not need to be ultra wealthy to think about these issues and to build structures. If you've owned a home in California for over 10 years and want it to be available to your children, you need to work with an expert on property tax solutions. And this is a very narrow range of attorneys and firms who understand that. If you're single and your estate's over $4 million today, if you're a couple and your estate's worth over $8 million today, you need to be aware of this because it is very likely you're going to face significant exposure in a few years. There are tax issues that affect hundreds of thousands of families in California. I want you to be aware of that. Gilfix and the Pole Associates, we are true pioneers in the area of estate planning and elder law. 40 years in Palo Alto. We're very proud of that. We've served thousands and thousands of families throughout the state of California, from San Diego up to Wairika. So we've seen it all. We've served so many different types of families from all walks of life, from just normal everyday people to Nobel Prize winners and to CEOs, but everybody across the spectrum. And I love meeting people from all walks of life. And we can provide value really to everyone. We've saved hundreds of millions of dollars, if not more, in taxes for our clients. But most importantly, our mission and our goal is to empower you and to provide extraordinary value and peace of mind. We're very proud of our place in the community and our place in the legal world. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Check out our other videos. I hope we get the chance to work with you. But regardless, I hope you got a lot out of this video. I'm Mark Gilfix. Stay safe and healthy.